Experts and military men gathered in Kyiv in order to support Ukraine and share their visions. Kyiv Post visited the place.
Hello, reporting for Kyiv Post, Bogdan Nahailo, the chief editor. I've just been attending the Kyiv Security Forum. We're about two-thirds through the first day. A very impressive gathering that has been brought to Kyiv of generals, politicians, even former president of Poland, Duda, and even Prince Harry was here and spoke. The mood was rather upbeat that Europe has finally got its act together in recent months, that Ukraine can depend on not just financial support but weapons and weapon production jointly with Europe, Germany, Britain and others. Obviously that's going to take time, but this is clearly a good signal for Ukraine and good encouragement for Ukraine to hold out. The level of discussion has been high. And I would say that the mood is upbeat. There's no defeatist sentiment present among the guests or the Ukrainians. We're holding our own and we will be moving forward. And the signs in Moscow.
Kyiv Security Forum this time turned out to be a truly grand event. An important part was not just the presence of a large number of representatives of the expert community, EU politicians, and former high-ranking representatives of the West, but also current decision-makers, military personnel, and officials. The atmosphere was quite determined. Everyone was united in the view that Ukraine will receive more support, including military support. This took place against the backdrop of the approval of a €90 billion Euro credit for Ukraine and the adoption of the 20th package of sanctions against the Russian Federation. Among those present were Admiral Giuseppe Cavodragone, chairman of the NATO Military Committee, General Sean Clancy, the chairman of the European Union Military Committee, Chiefs of Defense Staff of Canada and Latvia, Generals Jenny Karignan and Kaspars Pudans.
First, of course, being here is a main message that we as Latvia, as armed forces, government, but people of Latvia will remain friends and supporters of Ukraine. And it's undoubtedly why we're doing this, because our history, our experience with threats on our border is similar. And of course, we know what terrors of war and Russian occupation mainly can bring to us. So that was the first message. Second, of course, being here is that we also not only looking to support, but we want to be also learning from Ukraine, because it's important for us to remain very strong also on the flank of Ukraine, not giving the breast for Russians, assuming that they're fighting only on one front line. So us being strong on the borders of Russia means that they have to pay their attention.
He says that allies expected that Ukrainian resistance from the very beginning would become a problem for the Russians, but Ukraine's modernization during the war became a surprise for the West, which has much to learn from Ukrainians.
I say it wasn't a surprise on the first day of war. I still remember the evening of 24th of February when we heard already back home first intelligence reports about Russian tanks burning, and that's already confirmed what I thought, that Ukrainians will not fail. What surprised is your ability of Ukrainian soldiers, leaders at all levels to innovate and how fast to develop new approaches. Should admit that probably forced into this by lack of support from us, from West in some particular weapon systems, but accepting the civil business procedures, civil technologies, so a bit different of innovation from what we've seen in previous centuries.
Nicolas Tenzer, the chairman of the French Center for Studies and Research on Political Decision, advisor to high authorities in France, thinks that Ukraine has to have more European support.
I am absolutely certain that we will not be talking anymore about any kind of peace deal with Russia, any kind of negotiation with Russia, any kind of compromises with Russia. I mean, that must be out, and that must not appear right now. That my proposal that I made when I talked with the president, the prime minister of the different countries, just give it here and leave it here. Do not talk anymore about that.
A separate topic was cooperation between Ukraine and the EU in the economic sphere. The most important issue is the further integration of Ukraine into European economic clusters and the joint development of infrastructure.
We have problems and we have very painful moments in our common history. Yes, we should solve these problems. Important is the future cooperation between our states and our societies, our nations, between Poles and Ukrainians. I hope that Ukraine will be member of the European Union in the future, and I hope that thanks to the decision of the Ukrainian society, Ukraine will be also a member of the North Atlantic Alliance, so NATO, and that we will create together here in our part of Europe, in Central Eastern European part of our Central Eastern part of our continent, brotherhood and the best possible cooperation. We called it sometimes Three Seas Initiative. Yes, a cooperation in the development of infrastructure, energy infrastructure, roads, railways. Yes, but this is the question, and this is the matter of the connectivity and the possibility to move very fast, to have best possible opportunities to conduct and to create new businesses and all these elements which are very important for the development of our countries and development of our relations.
But the central question remains: is there light ahead? Is the world capable of stopping the war in Ukraine and securing a just peace for Ukraine? Or are we entering a darker era of expanding conflicts and renewed imperial ambitions? Ukraine seeks peace and works tirelessly toward this goal. Yet, peace cannot be built on illusions. It requires strength, common defense, and unwavering solidarity among free nations.